Storytime.
Hey guys, it's Marlena. Welcome back to MC World Productions. Today I'm going to be doing Storytime. And yeah. Anyways, in the title it says that Daniel is my best friend.
MC, you need an MC. Place to be.
And in case you guys don't know what Daniel is, it's kind of like
Damn, Daniel. Damn, Daniel.
that's what Daniel is. I was making up my last driver's class, and I kind of went to the driver's class like, good, I'm getting this done and over with. I hate this class, it's so boring. And I go to the class and I'm just like sitting there on my phone texting my friend. I don't know anybody in the class because this is a totally different class than who my class was. And I'm just sitting there making up this last class. So before the class starts, I realized that we have a sub. The sub that we had was another teacher that teaches. There's only 2 teachers that teach at my driving school. And she was the other teacher. And so she has like her own classes. Okay, one of her students was sitting at the back of the class. Let me show you how the desks are set up in the class. Okay, this is how the desks are. Okay, here's all the tables kind of like that, okay? And there's a row of chairs in the back, and like here's like the front projector and stuff. And okay, her student was sitting in the back and there was like row of chairs. And she said like, oh, you could come pick out a desk. And I'm sitting right here like in the corner, and this student comes and sits like right here, so like right by me. So I'm kind of like, whoa, this kid looks familiar, like I know him from somewhere. I couldn't think of where at first, but then I was kind of looking at him and I was like, okay, I know that face. I'm just staring at him. Class hadn't started yet. And then I was like, oh, that must be Josh Holes from Daniel. So I'm like sitting there like, it has to be him. If not, then he has a lookalike sitting in my driving class. Since that kid and I aren't from that class, everyone had like license plates that had their name on it, and the kid and I didn't. The sub teacher introduces the student and says, oh everyone, this is a student from my regular classes. This is Josh. And she asked who I was. I was like, oh, my name is Marlena. I found out that his name was Josh because the teacher said, and I was like, okay, now if this kid's name is Josh Holes, I am going to flip out. And for the first hour of the class, mind you, this is a 3-hour class, okay? So first hour, we had to take I think it was a midterm that we had to take for the class. So sit there for an hour, take a midterm. At the end of the midterm, the teacher says, okay, everyone switch papers so we can correct them. Sat there and waited to see if this Josh kid was going to switch his paper with anyone. And since him and I didn't really know anyone in the class, we kind of like looked at each other, and he was like, hey, you want to switch? I was like, yeah, sure, let's switch tests. So we switched our tests, and I grab his paper and look at it. The name written on the name line is Joshua Holes. So I'm like, oh shoot, it's him. Like, oh my gosh. I'm like, can't wait to text everyone about this. And I was like, you know, I knew that jawline somewhere. I'm sitting there and I'm screaming on the inside because I never thought this day would come. I mean, I know that he goes to Riverside Poly, but I never thought I would run into him. So I grade his paper, and when I give his paper back, I'm like, so you're Josh Holes? And he kind of looks at me and laughs and is like, yeah, I am. I tell him like, I thought I knew you from somewhere. And towards the end of the break, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna check his Twitter, see what's going on in his life so I could ask him questions or whatever. So I go on his Twitter, start stalking his Twitter. I see that he's gonna be at VidCon. That break ends, have another hour of class, and then we have another break. I'm like, hey Josh, are you gonna go to VidCon? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing a booth by IKEA and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh wow, like that's so cool. He was like, yeah, it's kind of nerve-wracking though, because Daniel's not going to be there. It's just going to be me tomorrow. Stuff like that. I'm like, oh wow, that must be so fun. He's like, oh yeah, are you going? And I'm like, no, I can't go. It's kind of like sold out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my sister's gonna be like so excited that I met you. He's like, oh yeah, how old's your sister? I'm like, yeah, she's like a 4, you know. He starts laughing. He's like, oh okay, that's cool, that's cool. At the end of class, I'm like, hey Josh, can we take a picture? He's like, oh yeah, sure, of course, of course. So I have the teacher kind of take the picture of us. Okay, we're in a 3-story building and we walk down the stairs. So I'm kind of like, hey, start talking to him on the way down the stairs. I'm like, hey Josh, you should like totally subscribe to me on YouTube, MCMURO Productions. He's like, oh really? He was like, yeah, what do you do? I was like, well, you know, like challenges and story time, you know, stuff that I'm into and into watching like on YouTube. Like whatever I want to post, I'll post. And he's like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I want to start a channel with Daniel, but there's not really like any time to do it. I'm like, yeah, you should really subscribe to MC Murrow Productions. Ha! Guess he wasn't taking me seriously to actually subscribe, but got the word out there. Like, last thing I tell him was like, oh Josh, it was really cool. I got to meet you and talk to you and stuff. And I was like, thank you for the picture. And he's like, oh yeah, no problem. Tell your sister I said, what's up? So yeah, Josh Holmes is my best friend now. What can I say? Yeah. Meeting people in my driving class. So that's all I got for you today. Just wanted to let everybody hear that story. It is extremely hot outside and I'm wearing a long sleeve. Make sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, whatever you want to do. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.